Hello there, I'm gonna be talking about the game Dragon Age Inquisition. Dragon Age Inquisition is an RPG game released by BioWare on November 18th of 2014. The game starts you off with you, aka the Inquisitor, being in a dream sequence, watching the breach, which is an event that you will get to know more about later, happening. After that, you get thrown into prison, accused of actually creating the breach. After some dialogue, you get to go out and try to close the breach with the powers you got in your hand, which you don't know how to use nor control. When you get there, you are taught by someone named Solas how to effectively close the breach and how to control the power. But when you try to close the breach, you actually notice that you have too little power and it fails. You just weaken the breach for now, but you are unable to close. So you set off with the Inquisition to find more power by going to the Templars or the Mages, which is a big choice later in the game. I'm not gonna spoil too much of the story, but it's good, but it's not the best point. Now I can talk a bit about the mechanics of the game. Looking at it mechanically, the game is very good. I don't really know what to start with because there's so much to talk about. We can start with the AI of the enemies and your teammates. The AI acts kinda normally. It acts like most of the AIs in recent games do. It focuses you over others, but if you are dead, it focuses other team members. As well as your teammates focus mostly the enemy you are targeted in on, or the enemy with the lowest health, or closer to them, depending on which setting you set them on. You can switch between your team members whenever you want it, and an AI will control your character instead. That is which gives Dragon Age such a tactical gameplay mechanic, because you can control everyone's character and give them orders on what to do, instead of just letting the AI control them. Another mechanic in this game is also the gathering and crafting. Gathering is the mechanic that allows you to collect different metals, herbs, leathers, to then create potions, armors, weapons, and even some items and weapons for the Inquisition that increases their power and allows them to get stronger, for you to do more quests, go to different regions, everything that. Another good mechanic in the game is the level up system. Level up system works like every RPG. You gain XP from enemies, objectives, quests. Then you level up after you gather enough XP. You don't get perks here. You don't get to choose if you want to increase the attack, defense, health. It all increases automatically. But you get one skill point which you can use in whatever skill tree you want that's available for a character. Every character has a special skill tree. They have different skill trees depending on their class and on the characters itself. You get, for example, your Inquisitor gets a special perk tree that is contributing to the power of your palm. So it's like demonic power, and you get to use that in battle. But it's only after you've leveled up enough that you can actually start unlocking it. Another mechanic that is not really too big but still worth mentioning is fall damage. The fall damage really matters, as well as high ground, because high ground allows you to deal more damage depending on what skills you have, and even allows some skills to do more damage. But also if you somehow get pushed up at high ground by, we say, a charging knight, you are in trouble, because the fall damage does a shit ton of damage, and you do not want to have that in a fight, because there's no self-regeneration. You gotta use potions. The whole party has a set of 9 potions that you can increase by buying things for the Inquisition, but once you use those potions you gotta refill them, otherwise you won't be able to regenerate unless you have skills, but they come at a later level and they require mana, which you also don't have too much of. Another thing about the game that is wonderful is that it is open world in a way that it will allow you to go to the region, but if you try to fight the enemies there while at a lower level, you're probably gonna get beaten by them. The regions are created so that they have higher level enemies and even stronger sets of enemies. So for example, we've had the hinterlands, which is the beginner area, and the beginner area is also divided into multiple areas, and you can face different enemies there, but the hinterlands are just where you begin and where you'll be leveling. After that you get to move to different islands, but they have stronger enemies as well. The level difference can be very, very high. Like you can be level 10 and face level 20 enemies, and then you won't even be able to 4v1. When it comes to equipment, you can use different runes and upgrades on it. It can be really useful if you do it, because upgrading your weapons should be your priority, because it can really do a difference, and it may be hard to find a better weapon than what you currently have unless you defeat like really strong or rare enemies. The enemies can also drop ingredients for your items. For example, there are 10 dragons in total in the game that drop the best ingredients you can have for your equipment, which is dragon scales and dragon hide, as well as dragon bones. They can also drop necklaces and earrings that you can use. There's so much to talk about in this game, but I have limited time, so I'm gonna delve into the way it keeps you going. It's like after you finish the game, which you can do in a short amount of time, give it like 12 hours if you just go straight for the story missions. But after you do that, there's like so much more to do. There are dragons that you can slay, 10 in total, which are difficult to slay. Like the first one in the hinterlands, it can take you up to 40 minutes just because it tanks so much damage and its skills allow it to deal a lot of damage. So it'll require a lot of micromanagement and a lot of defense and attack, but attack won't really matter since it negates most of it anyway. So you just have to out-sustain it more or less because it cannot regenerate health of its own. The game can also keep you there by having different side quests you can do to get to know the characters better. You can romance the characters, but when you romance someone, you cannot romance another character. If we keep talking about the way the game keeps you going, there are epic bosses, there's more like locations you can explore. For example, in a desert area called the Oasis, there's a temple that you have to gather shards to unlock, and the shards can be located in different areas, like in all of the areas in different locations. Once you gather all of them, you can open treasures, gain different buffs and different items, and that's more an endgame thing, but it still takes a lot of time and a lot of exploring. But the dragons are probably what will take the longest time, because the last dragon you face, it's really tough. It can take really long time, possibly 1.5 hours to beat it. So yeah, I mean, the game has a lot to do. I cannot even cover it all. There's just so much. Thank you for listening.